All right, everybody. So this video is a little different. It's a little off topic. It's a skill we're going to need in class the next couple of days, first of all. Second of all, for, well, I think everybody going on to an Algebra 2 class next year. This is a skill that you need to be absolutely rock solid on since you're going to be doing a lot of factoring next year. So we're going to do a quick review. There will be a little mini skill check next class using this skill. All right, since this is something we should know from past years, we should remember. So if you feel like you need a little extra help, you can come see me during a Zoom or during activity period, but be prepared next class to have a little, maybe a one-question skill check, like I said, just to hold you accountable to make sure you're doing your homework the right way. So when I see a quadratic function like this, quadratic means we have this x squared here. I know that I need to, well, in order to solve, I guess, first of all, our goal is to solve for x. And this is not in your notes. I should have mentioned that. You're going to have to just go on a piece of scrap paper or maybe in the back of your note packet where you have some blank pages. And depending on your teacher last year, you kind of solved for x in one of two ways. The first way was using kind of our FOIL reverse factoring, parentheses method. The other way was using the Windows method. All right, and if you feel like you remember this stuff and you want to just go for this on your own today, you certainly can. But the methods really are very similar. So looking at this x squared plus x minus 6, we need to find two numbers that add to whatever's in front of our x, in this case a positive 1, and two numbers, the same two numbers, that also multiply to the negative 6. So we need to add to a negative 1, but multiply to a negative 6. So the way that your teachers probably thought about this was we listed out the factors. So, okay, what multiplies to be a 6, or a negative 6? Well, 1 and negative 6. 6 and negative 1. Neither of those add to a positive 1, though. Here we go. We have 3 times negative 2. And we have 2 and negative 3. So those are all our factors that multiply to negative 6. So looking at all these numbers, it looks like that's our winner. 3 times a negative 2. So whether we're looking at the parentheses or whether you're using your Windows method, the first thing is always going to be the same. So x times x gets us to our x squared. So if you're thinking about FOIL, excuse me, we do our first, outer, inner, last stuff. I think Mrs. Sullivan taught it that way. So x times x is x squared. That's how I get to my first value. We also know, like I said, we need to multiply to a negative 6. So in my last window, I put that negative 6 there. And now we can guess and check. If we already have an idea in our heads, we can use that. So like we talked about, I know we're going to have a 3 and a negative 2. So if I'm checking this in the windows, I can figure out, okay, 3 times x, that's my 3x. That's what goes into that window. 3 times x is 3x. In this window, I multiply these two values, that becomes a negative 2x. So looking at my numbers, when I combine these like terms, negative 2x plus 3x, there's my plus 1x. And then the same things I can put here. And that's what we do. That's how we use these windows. I know that x plus 3 times x minus 2 ends up as the x squared plus 1x minus 6. All right? And that's the way these windows and the parentheses method connect. What we do now, the reason why we do this, and the reason why we have to get everything equal to 0 is because we now use our little chart. We use our zero product rule. The only way something can multiply to 0 is either if this part of my equation is equal to 0 or if this part of my equation is equal to 0. All right, so hopefully this is all coming back to you. All right, I can now subtract 3 from both sides. I get x equals -3 is one solution. I add 2 to both sides, and I get x equals +2 is my other solution. So I don't care which method you use. I think probably most of you have used the Windows method, and that's a little easier way to guess and check, in my opinion. But that's what I expect you to kind of be prepared for next class. So like I said, if you want, I have a couple more examples that I'll go through. If you're ready to either fast forward or just do the work on your own and check my answer, you can. But I'll do maybe one more together completely, and then the next couple I'll just show my work on for you. So x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. So I need to multiply to x squared. The only way to do that is x times x. So that's what goes in that window. I need to multiply to a +12. So we can use a little bit of process of elimination here. I need to multiply to a positive number. I need to add to a positive number. So the only way that works is if all of my numbers here are positive. So let's think, what multiplies to a 12? We have 1 times 12. We have 2 times 6. Here we go. We have 4 times 3. That looks like my winner. So let's check. Let's check in my windows. 4 times x is 4x. 3 times x is a +3x, so that works out, looks good, everything's positive. 3x plus 4x, if I combine those like terms, there's my 7x. There's my 12, yeah, that looks good. So now I know x plus 4 times x plus 3 should get me to that same x squared plus 7x plus 12, so I set that equal to 0. And then I can do my 2 equations. All right, so if I'm going too quick, rewind, rewatch, pause, do what you have to do, but make sure you come into class next time with an understanding of how to do this. And x equals -3. Okay. So if you are ready, try this one on your own. Notice there's my first big difference. What do you have to do with that 80? So if you're ready to try, you can go ahead and pause and work through this on your own for a few minutes. If you want to walk through one more with me, I will do that with you now. So pause now if you're ready. Before we set this up, before we start, make sure we get we get everything equal to 0. Everything should be on one side of our equation. And now we have to go through our factors of 80. So use your calculator if you need to. There's a lot of numbers that can go into our 80. But we have to add to a -2. So you can start right at the biggest number. We know 80 times 1. That's not even close, right? -80 or -1, any combination. 2 times 40. All right, we can go right down our calculator. So 80 divided by 4, so we have 4 times 20. 80 divided by 5, so we have 5 times 16. So we can keep checking down and down and down the list. But that's going to be our winning pair, 10 times 8. And since we want the -2 to be our final addition, I know the 10 is going to have to be negative. So let's test this out. And -10 times 8. So in this window, 8x, 8 times x is 8x. In this window, -10 times x. And yeah, we combine our like terms. So we have x minus 10 times x plus 8. That's an equivalent factoring of this stuff there, equals 0. And then you're going to get to the point where you can probably work through this last step in a little bit of a shortcut, but I know x minus 10 has to equal 0, or x plus 8 has to equal 0. So my two solutions, x equals 10, x equals negative 8. So there you go. All right, on the Google form, there'll be a couple more of these to practice just so you can make sure you have the right idea. So try that Google form out. I'll give you a multiple choice question so you know how you did. If you need help to be ready for our little skill check next time, make sure you come into a Zoom or ask me for help during class. If you want, you can try this last one out as well. I'm going to just get off the video now to make it not too long. But be aware, things will change when we have that a value, that first coefficient, when it's not a 1. So we have to be a little more careful with this one. So if you want to mess around with this one, you can try it out. Maybe I'll give you the answer here. Just be careful. That will have to go in our first window. And the answer to that question, just if you do want to check your work, is going to be, let me make sure I have it right here, x equals negative 4 and x equals negative 3/2. All right, so there you go. Let me know if you need help. Hopefully that all made sense and it came back to you pretty quickly. Otherwise, I will see you all in class. Have a good day.